Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming out. What a beautiful day we have today to do this. A couple of things real quickly. My name is Mike Miles. I am the Executive Director with the Dallas Area Parkinson Society, and we are so excited about every session, every general session, every breakout that we have going today. And we're also going to be live streaming this. DAPS has been around since 1978. And since 1978, we have been enabling people and their families who are facing the challenges of Parkinson's to live active and fulfilling lives. We do that by providing exercise classes in a number of different forms. We do traditional exercise, we do non-contact boxing, dance for people with PD. We also have speech classes, we have support groups, and we have a number of educational opportunities just like this. And so we're so excited that you're here. Hope you get a chance to learn more about all of our sponsors who are supporting this, as well as more about DAPS. Some housekeeping matters real quickly. Right out the back of this hall right here, on either side are restrooms, the men's and the women's. And then there's a family restroom, if you need that. When you go out, make a right as you're going out and go all the way down the hall, and you'll see a sign down there that is a restroom that we've designated as a family restroom. The other thing is that each one of you should have gotten a passport. It looks like this. And so as you visit the vendor tables and the sponsor tables, make sure that you have one of them sign off on that, put their initial on there, and then drop it into a spot that they're going to have at the registration table later today. And then we'll have a drawing, and we have 3 beautiful baskets back there that we're going to give away. So make sure that you take advantage of that opportunity as well. We have so many sponsors who have helped us to put this together, and that allows us to make this free, and we appreciate every one of them. Some of our top sponsors, I want them to come, and we want to hear from them at this time. So Rick Allen, Rick, are you here? Come on up, Rick. You can just do it right there. I'll hand you the mic.
Can y'all hear me without the mic? No. I'm not very good at this. Anyway, I just want to say thanks, Mike and Leisha, for allowing us to participate and here support your efforts in education, subjects like this. I've been in this industry, the pharmaceutical industry, for about 32 years, and there's nothing more rewarding than bringing new innovative products to market, but also supporting educational efforts. And so we just want to say thank you and come by the booth and say hi to us.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you. And now if Renetta Mosley would come up.
Good morning. I represent Acadia Pharmaceuticals. My name is Renetta Mosley. I am the Patient Advocacy and Industry Relations Liaison for the West Region, and we are proud to be a sponsor with DAPS. We've been working with them for a while. I wanted to let you know that we have a booth, so we welcome you to come by. You'll have a chance to not only hear from our sales team, but also to learn about the education that we look to support for people living with Parkinson's as well as their care partners. And so when you come by, you can learn more about our product called Nuplazid, which helps patients that may experience hallucinations and delusions. So feel free to stop by and learn more, and we look forward to talking with you. Have a wonderful day.
And now Jack Peabody. All right.
Good morning, everybody. How are y'all doing today? Y'all can hear me good, loud and clear? Perfect. First off, I just want to say thank you to Mike and Leisha for us, being a sponsor here. A little bit about me. I'm new to pharmaceutical sales, 3 weeks in. So very excited to be here with all of y'all. It's a new step for me, but I'm excited for it. I have a booth out there too. Just stop by, come say hello. I've met some of you already. Come stop by again and see me, and we can talk a little bit about the products I have and everything you need to know. Once again, I'm Jack Peabody with Supernus Pharmaceuticals. I want to say thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you again to all of our sponsors, especially thank you to our top-level sponsors. We are glad that you are here. And folks, we are going to get this thing started. Let me introduce our keynote speaker today. This is our 5th year to do this. It was a dream, and just a dream, 7 years ago when I started, and now this is our 5th year to do it. This is our first year to bring in an international speaker to do our keynote. So we are so excited about that. John Baumann has had many successes in his life. He graduated from Cornell Law School, became a lawyer with Exxon, and then a general counsel of a market-listed public company. Then, in 2002, he heard what many of you have heard. You have Parkinson's. And since that time, he has successfully somewhat reinvented himself. He's not only accepted the fact that he has Parkinson's, like many of you have, he is living well with it. And so he has become an international speaker, and he is a professional speaker, joined the faculty of the College of Business at the University of Louisville. He's written a book entitled Decide Success. And so, without hearing any more from me, I want to invite John up.
Good morning. Deep in the heart of Texas. I want to tell you that he mentioned some accomplishments, but it's interesting to me that when I was turned 40, a friend of mine asked me what my greatest accomplishment has been. At 40, what's the hardest thing I've ever done? And it'll surprise you. It wasn't being awarded summa cum laude at University of Massachusetts. It wasn't getting into Cornell Law School. It wasn't getting out of Cornell Law School. It wasn't working for Exxon. It wasn't any of those things. It wasn't passing the Texas bar, which I did. But it was, I was a sophomore in college, and I went to kind of a seminar. And they said, do you want to make some money this summer? So I said, yeah, I need to make money. I need to get through school. So I got in a bus, and I went to Franklin, Tennessee. And we did a training for book sales, door to door. And on the last day, they had the big reveal, and they said, you're going to Texas. So I came down to Texas, and I worked from 7:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night, 6 days a week, in the heat, 120 degrees. That was the hardest thing I'd ever done. A year later, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. That was harder. It's been harder. I know how horrific it is. I live what you live, and I want to help you. I want to help you do the things you can do to influence your experience of Parkinson's. That's what I want to do. So the first thing that happened to me was I got diagnosed, and it was a crisp day in March. I always remember it, March 15th. It was a crisp day, and you could feel the coldness in your throat. I don't know if you have that in Dallas. You have cold days, but I'm sure you do. So I went to see this doctor, and I had no idea why I was going. My primary care physician said, you got to go see this neurologist. So I went in, and I was the last patient of the day, and the receptionist actually went home, gave me the paperwork, and left. So I filled out the paperwork, and I handed it to the doctor when she came out to greet me, and she said, you have Parkinson's disease. I said, what? You haven't taken blood, you haven't hit my knee with a hammer, you haven't done anything. How can you tell I have Parkinson's? She said, all the classic symptoms. Your face doesn't change. Your eyes don't blink. Your hand is tremoring. Your arm doesn't swing when you walk, which was kind of weird. And your handwriting's illegible. I said, I'm a lawyer. Of course my handwriting's illegible. So I said, what can we do to confirm this? She said, there's only one confirmation test. So I said, what is it? She said, an autopsy. I didn't do the autopsy. So I was in shock. I went through the emotional roller coaster I'm sure you've gone through. I was in shock. And I had been in shock. I don't remember driving back to the office, but I do remember it was white light. I saw white light when I was given this diagnosis, and everything slowed down. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but I had white light, and there's only 2 times in my past that's happened. I was in a bus accident when I was in camp in 16, and the bus tipped over, and I was in a bus accident, a Greyhound bus, and the driver was killed. So if you see me on a bus, get off the bus. So this shows you what I was dealing with initially, and I'm sure you dealt with. What do you think this is? What's the river? Denial. So I dealt with denial, I dealt with shock, and I dealt with depression. The way I dealt with depression, I was actually a very optimistic person, I still am. But when I was 10 years old, I made a fort out of some chain link fencing. And I had my buddy in the fort. My younger brother that was 8 couldn't fit in the fort. And I told him, you can't come, which wasn't very nice of me. He picked up a rock and hit me over the head. Blood was everywhere. My mother came out screaming. She said, oh, God. We went in and I got 10 stitches. My brother tells the story it was 2, but it was 10. So we had 10 stitches. Going to sleep at night was always a big trial with my family. My brother would go to sleep first, and then me, then my sister. Well, my sister went to bed before me. And I was like, what's going on here? They said, you got to stay up. I didn't know what a concussion was at that time. So then they brought out ice cream at 9 o'clock. And I got ice cream. I said, this is the luckiest day of my life. I got hit in the head with a rock. This is the luckiest day of my life? That's the kind of optimist I am. Well, I learned what depression was. I was driving along in my car, and I went into the deepest, darkest hole. I didn't care if I lived or died. And about 20 minutes later, I came out of it. And I said, what the heck was that? And about 2 weeks later, it happened again. At least I knew I was going to come out of it. But I went and got help and got dealt with the depression. So you deal with an emotional roller coaster. You deal with shock. I think I'm still in shock. Denial, I think I've gotten over denial. I think after 20 years, I'm pretty certain I've got Parkinson's. But you move to depression, and you never get over these things, but you can learn to cope with them. And that's the message of hope I have for you. You learn to cope with them. You don't get over the grief, you just learn to cope with them. So my journey has taken me here, brought me here to you, to speak my truth, and to just try to help in any way I can. This is Maya Angelou. I love this phrase. This is a wonderful day. I've never seen this one before. Every day is magical, every day is new, every day is fresh, every day is something special. And that's why I love this quote. You've got a clean slate. What happened yesterday doesn't matter. If you ate pints and pints of Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry's yesterday, it doesn't affect today. Today's new. It's a clean slate. My wife is cracking up. If you didn't exercise a lick, if you never exercised, you can exercise today. Now, I'm not saying you need to exercise the way my wife does. She's a pretty avid exerciser. You do as best you can, but you need to start a new life. You start with a clean slate and start over, and do what you can do. Don't hurt yourself. Do what you can do. I did a retreat in southern Indiana for women with Parkinson's. It was just a women's group. That was kind of cool. They didn't have a facility like this, so we met in one hotel room. It was 30 women and me. Interesting. Not what I expected to be. And we started to talk. I started to talk, and then I said, why am I talking? There's only 30 of us. Let's go around the room and tell me your stories. So here's the first woman. Tell me about yourself. She said, well, I've had Parkinson's for 12 years, and what I deal with is sleeplessness and pain, and just went on and on. Second one, I said, what do you do? She said, I have Parkinson's for 8 years, and I do this and that. The next one, I have Parkinson's. I said, stop it, stop. No more. Tell me about you. You are still you. You are still inside there. Tell me about you. Don't tell me about Parkinson's. I don't want to know about Parkinson's. She said, well, I grow prized tomatoes, and I bring them to the state fair every year. Awesome. That's great. What do you do? She said, I'm an architect, and I built this building in the skyline of Indianapolis. I said, awesome. And it was like the clouds parted and the sun shone through, and it changed the whole atmosphere of the whole discussion. We weren't talking about the misery of Parkinson's. We were talking about the beauty of life. And that's what that was wonderful for. So I call myself an inspirational speaker with those initials. Anyone think they know what those initials mean? I'm an inspirational speaker who just so happens to have Parkinson's. It's a different perspective. It's a different way to look at things. I just so happen to have Parkinson's. I don't just define myself as somebody with Parkinson's. Now, I'm not giving medical advice today, but I did stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. Overboard. Anyone remember the movie with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, Overboard? For those of you that don't know, it's Goldie Hawn was a rich woman who fell overboard and was claimed by this person that she had dumped his tools overboard, and she didn't remember, she had amnesia, and then she remembered and she went back to the boat, and she was back in the boat, and Roddy McDowall is a famous actor who's passed away since, but he's a famous actor. He actually took the role of the butler, which was a little bit strange to me, and I always kind of look behind things and try to figure out why. And I figured it out because he got to deliver one line that was pretty cool. She said to him, "Was I that bad?" And he looked at her like, "Oh my God, who's this person?" He said to her, "Andrew, I think I've lost my diamond earrings somewhere between 34th and 36th Street. Go find them." She said, in all sincerity, "I'm so sorry. I was awful, and I'm so sorry." And he said, "Madam, we are all born with blinders on. You've had yours removed for a short period of time. What you do with that information is entirely up to you. You've had your blinders removed. You have Parkinson's. You can see the world in a different way. What you do with that is entirely up to you, every one of you." Honest assessment. You got to do an honest assessment. You got to ask questions of other people, and because you're changing. Over 20 years, I've changed a lot, good and bad. It affects all levels of your life, every level, from physical to mental to spiritual to psychological. It affects all that. You need to do an honest assessment. If you can't drive anymore, don't drive. The way I analogize that is, if I were a bank robber, I'm not, but if I were, and I went to the bank and I got away with it, and I got away with it, and got away with it, and got away with it, and then I got caught. You would say, well, you should have stopped at the fourth time you robbed a bank and not go that fifth time. Well, you never know what the fifth time is. You never know. So if you drive and you hurt someone or kill someone because your arms wouldn't move anymore or your legs wouldn't move, that's a real issue that you're going to have to deal with and live with. So let's just do an honest assessment. What has PD taken from me? What has PD taken from me? Absolute control of my body. I was an athlete. Some non-motor function. I have a hard time juggling things, multitasking. I have a hard time finding my words sometimes. Practicing my profession, attorney. I loved being an attorney. Loved it. I was one of the good guys. There's bad guys and there's good guys. I was one of the good guys. So I decided I had to give up the practice of law. I used to watch Perry Mason and do the closing argument along with Perry Mason. The one thing I learned from that was, if you're on Perry Mason and you get on the stand in the last 5 minutes, don't get on the stand, because he's going to convince you. Playing my favorite sports, softball and tennis. I love softball. In fact, softball, this is one near and dear to my heart. Dallas is near and dear to my heart. I was playing shortstop for a Houston team in the Young Lawyers Association, and this was in 1987. I'm dating myself. And we won the Houston tournament, and they sent us to the Dallas state tournament, and we won 9 games in 2 days. And I was a shortstop. My arm was about to fall off by the time we finished that, and we won. And it's the only trophy, my wife will tell you, it's the only trophy that I have on my desk, because I thought that was so spectacular. Well, I tried to play tennis the other day, and I went for a drop shot. He hit a drop shot, and I went for it because I'm very competitive and I don't know how to stop. And I went plowed face first into the... So that wasn't pleasant. But no, honest assessment, I shouldn't have been playing tennis, and I don't play anymore, and I don't play softball anymore, because I need to not do that. I can get hurt. What has PD given me? PD has given me things, has given me some things. given me elevated compassion. I have more compassion for other people. Increased empathy. I can feel what it feels like to be. My father is 89 years old, and he had a stroke, and he can't walk very well, and he can't talk very well, and he can't see very well, and he can't hear at all. And I have a lot of compassion for that because I've dealt with that. I've dealt with the inability to get up from a chair, the inability to get out of bed, getting off the floor. I've been on the floor several times where I can't move, I can't get up, and they're mostly stress-related. So humility, resourcefulness. When I can get off of the chair and get up from the floor, I'm resourceful. I go put my hand on this thing, go my hand on this thing, and I do whatever it takes to get up. Patience. I think I have a lot more patience. My wife is wild. She's a wild woman, and I'm level. I'm very level. She's here, by the way. I'm very level. I don't show a lot of emotion. And deeper love. I've never felt a deeper love than I feel for her. That's just Siesta Key. That's near to where I live. I think of it as a tranquil moment. But my mission, my purpose is to help others. So I became a teacher. I taught at University of Louisville, and I loved teaching. It got to the point where I was too fatigued to do it, and I had to stop doing it. But I did that. Every victory counts. Davis Finney is a friend of mine. He's somebody that does speaking, and he has a foundation. Davis Finney says every victory counts. And when I first heard that, it didn't make sense to me. Now it really makes sense to me. Every time I'm in a troubled position and I get to back steady and back stable and back on again, I think of that as a victory. And I have several victories every day. And I cherish that. Anyone know what this is from? What movie this is from? No? It's Gladiator. What we do in life echoes in eternity. It's about a Roman, I just like the phrase. Impossible. Impossible. What's not impossible is possible. And let me tell you a story about a guy who was an MIT graduate student in math. MIT graduate student. And he was never late for class. He was a graduate student in math at MIT. So Friday, he was driving to school and he got a flat tire. And he went to class and he was 20 minutes late. And there's only 9 students in the class, so they were staring at him. So he thinks, I'm in trouble now. Well, he went to, there was something on the board. There were 2 problems on the board. So he dutifully wrote them down as the homework. He went back to the dorm, and he didn't go to happy hours. He's a graduate student in math. So he worked on the first problem, and he worked on it all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Finally solved it. Didn't know if he was going to didn't know what he should do because he didn't have time to do the other one, but he was going to try. So he went to the professor's office that was nearby, and he slipped the answer underneath his door. He worked on the second one, and he fell asleep, and he woke up late. He didn't set his alarm, and he missed class. So now he was late for class, he missed class, and he got a 50% on the homework. I'm expelled. He's like, I'm expelled. There's a knock on the door, and his professor was at his door. Didn't even know his professor knew where he lived. The president of the university was behind him. He said, I am totally in trouble. They came in, they said, you've done it, boy, you've done it. He said, done what? He said, you solved an impossible math problem. Einstein couldn't solve this. Why do you think he solved it? He didn't know it was impossible because he didn't miss the first 20 minutes of the class when the teacher said you can't solve these. If you believe something's possible, if it's not impossible, it's possible. It's not impossible. What you do, is it possible for me after 20 years to be standing on this stage? Yeah, it's possible. It's not impossible. Discipline. You've shown discipline in something in your life. Some part of your life, whether it's your career or whatever, you've shown discipline. You need to take that discipline and apply it to Parkinson's. It's your job. Your new job now is to be as healthy as possible. Why do you want to be as healthy as possible? Why do you want to be as healthy as possible? Take the burden off your care partner. That's one reason. Everyone has their own reasons. But I want to be as healthy as I can. I have a daughter that's 25 years old. I hope she gets married someday. I want to walk down the aisle not doing a wheelchair. That's a motivator. When I'm halfway through my workout, that's something I think about. I think about my care partner and not having as much of a burden on her. Someone asked me once, if you only had 5 things to say to someone, because people can't remember more than just 5, what would you do? And I said the first one would be organic. Why is that? Because it's easy. It's not that difficult. Buy organic food. Some people say that pesticides and herbicides are the reason we have Parkinson's. Well, your body can't handle anymore. So go organic. Now, if you can't afford to go organic, it's a shame that it's more expensive. It's such a shame. But if you can't afford to go organic, at least you've got the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. I would still go organic on the Clean 15, but if you had to cut it down to the top 12 things that you need to go organic every time for, these are them. And you can look that up. It's pretty easy to look up. Look it up on the internet. So the second thing I say is exercise. Now, everyone talks about exercise. I don't have to talk about it that much, but I'll give you my slant on exercise. When I first, about 10 years into my Parkinson's, I made the decision to start exercising. So I went to a personal trainer, and I call them personal counters. 1, 2, 3, 4. He never told me, it wasn't a good one that would help you learn to do the exercise better. Just counted. And I did that for a little while, and I wasn't being very successful. So what I did was I met my wife. And it's not that I met her to help me with exercise. She just happens to like exercise. So I would watch her, and she would do Shaun T, which is a video, and she would go across the wall and do Heisman maneuvers. That's a football term. And she hates football. But she's doing the Heisman maneuvers. And then she jumps over imaginary logs. I'm the one supposed to hallucinate, and she's jumping over imaginary logs. So I started doing it. I didn't do it well, but I started doing it. I learned that 20 minutes on the elliptical once a month was not enough. So I went ahead and I started doing these exercises. And then we joined a gym, and we started doing core exercises. We went in to do kettlebell, and the kettlebell instructor said, he won't be able to do this. Wrong thing to say to me. So we did that, and we actually did double up sometimes. We'd do that, and we'd do boxing. And so I learned to box. Then I did hot yoga. I'm not recommending this to everyone. I'm just saying that these are the things I did. I can tell you my personal experience. So now we do Peloton. She does Peloton. I do the other bike because it's hard to get on and off of. But you got to exercise, and this is our gym. And let me tell you why this is important. Go ahead to the next one. Keys to exercise: sweat, stretch, and strengthen. You need to build up a sweat. That's from cardio. You need to stretch, and I stretch every morning and every night. It's very important to stretch. And then strengthen, some sort of weights. Now, you don't have to do it for very long. You can do it for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'd schedule it out. On Sunday, I would say, when am I going to exercise this week? And the COVID has thrown me for a loop because I've gained a little bit of weight and I don't exercise as much. But I'm committing to do it. And I'm going to perform the miracle twice. That's what I've decided to do. But you need to do it beyond your comfort zone. Muhammad Ali says that training starts when you don't think you can take another step. So exercise starts when you don't think you can do another step. So do something more than what your comfort zone is. And then a group, every day, a group. Socialize. It's a great way to socialize. I do it so much better in a group. We had 50 people boxing in Sarasota, Florida, all with Parkinson's. We're down to 6 now because of COVID. People are afraid to come back. So we're hoping that changes. This is Winnie. When Winnie walks in, she's got a belt on, she's got a therapist with her. When she walks in, we say, "Winnie's in the house!" And she loves it. And she does the step-ups. She doesn't do them well. It takes a long time, but it's okay. It's okay. Whatever you can do, you do. Stay engaged. Doesn't mean if you're engaged to be married that you need to stay engaged. It means stay engaged. So stay engaged. Stay involved. Active. Stay active. Be as active as you can be. Don't sit around. If you're going to watch TV, get on a stationary bike. Get involved. Support. You can do something with the support group. You got the support group here. Get involved. Stay involved. Do things. Socialize. There's that socialize word again. Socializing is so important. That's why these conferences are so important. And it's a shame that people have stayed away. I understand why. But you really need to socialize. It's very important. Discover new interests and uncover your purpose. Guess what I do? No one will ever guess this. I got a call from Sarasota County that's in Florida, public schools, and they said, we're going to waive the master's in education if you had a doctorate in substitute teaching. So I substitute teach in elementary school and junior high and high school. And it's a family tradition. My mom was a teacher, my dad was a teacher, my sister's a teacher, my brother was a teacher. So I teach now. I ride my bike over to the school, and I teach, and it's a blast. The kids are crazy. And you see the light up in my eye. There's my teacher certificate. Healthier diet. Now, this is not going to be the fun part. This is the boring part. This is I hate to hear it. I hate to do this, but healthier diet. You will actually feel better if you do this diet, but I'm going to write a book. My next book is going to be called What's Left? What's Left? Because everything has problems, except it's my favorite cartoon. Whole food, plant-based. That's what they say. Whole food, plant-based. That's what we do. More organic, plant-based food. You'll see organic a lot. More organic vegetables, more organic beans, seeds, sprouts, and legumes. I don't know what a legume is. Only line-caught fish as opposed to farm-raised. That's what we kind of stick to. That's what we do. Reduce sugar, dessert. I hate this, but you got to do it. Got to reduce your sugar. Reduce dairy, cheese, reduce alcohol, reduce animal protein. What's left? Eliminate fast food, eliminate soda, eliminate junk food, eliminate fried food, eliminate processed. Now, do all of these, none of these, some of these, whatever you feel like doing. But if you want to get the best results, do as many as you can. Use your discipline. Lifestyle improvements. Get enough rest. I was talking to someone earlier who said that she didn't have a good rest last night. She didn't have a good sleep. There was a full moon, and her dog and cats went wild. You need enough rest. To me, it's the number one thing that I need to do. Get enough rest. Because if I'm rested, I'm on most of the time. When I'm not rested, I'm off. Reduce stress wherever possible. You can't eliminate stress. There's going to be stress. But you need to eliminate as much as you can. Simplify your life. Burn the ticks off. That's interesting. It's a little gross. But there are negative people in your life. If they're family, it's a little tougher. But you need to burn the ticks off. That's where you burn a tick, and the reason you burn it off is to get its head out of your body. Yuck. But burn the ticks off. Negative people will bring you down. When you walk away from someone and you feel like you need to take a shower, or you feel awful, find a way to get them out of your life. Crush the ants. What is ants? Always negative. Always negative. We'll figure it out. I just heard this one, so this is new. Seek out positive people. Never lose your sense of humor. Never lose your sense of humor. I don't have a sense of humor. I am not funny at all. Go back one. My wife and I went to Venice, Italy. And we were walking along, and we walked over a bridge, and all of a sudden, my foot started cramping. Dystonia. Never heard of it before. Another gift from Parkinson's. Something to challenge me. My foot was turning to the side, and the toes going in all directions. Anyone have dystonia? You're lucky. It's not pleasant. So I sat down on the side of the road, on the curb and the side of the road, and I said to her, I don't know what this is, but my foot is cramping. And she stood there for a couple minutes, and nothing's happened. I said, are you going to get up? And I said, no, I can't get up. And she said, took off my hat, put it on my lap, and said, at least to make some money while you're down there. It's a true story. Go back one. Poker. I used to play poker every Monday night with a bunch of friends, and I was terrible. I was awful at poker. I went for every hand. Well, when I got Parkinson's, I stopped taking my medication for 2 days before the games, and no one could tell when I got that fourth queen because my facial expression never changed. They kicked me out of the game because they thought I was cheating. Believe in the power of a positive attitude. Huge power, positive attitude. Positive attitude. Be positive, positively positive attitude. Placebo effect. Let me prove to you that positive attitude is something that makes a difference. When you're taking the placebo, the non-medicine, you have the same effects as somebody who has the medicine for the first 3 months. Same benefits. Because you think you're taking the medicine, though you're not. So what does that tell you? That tells you that your mind is a powerful instrument. That your mind can tell you you're getting better, you're having benefits, and then your body feels that. That's a positive attitude. So staying positive makes a real difference. Who's this? Nobody knows? Ted Williams. Ted Williams was known to be a very arrogant person, very arrogant, but he was the best hitter, I think, ever. He was actually, he was being interviewed by a reporter when he was 65 years old. And the reporter asked him, how would you do against today's pitching? He said, I'd batter out 200. Now, 200 is terrible. You won't be in the major leagues very long batting 200. And he was the last person to bat 400, which was 4 out of every 10 times up, which is awesome. So he said to him, were the pitchers that much better today than they were in your time? He said, for goodness sake, I'm 65 years old. How do you think I'd do today? He still thinks he could hit 2 out of every 10 pitches for hits. That's confidence. That's a positive attitude. There's a man with positive attitude. I'm the greatest. I said that even before I knew that I was. I love Muhammad Ali. I thought he was the greatest. I met him once. He was all cramped over, and some kids came in the room. They brought the children in, and he rose up and became Muhammad Ali again. And dexterity is a big issue with us, but he did tricks. He did magic tricks, and as soon as the kids left, he came back down. It was amazing. Power of positive thinking. Believe in yourself. I don't need to say any more about that. Believe in your team. Your team is your care partner, your team is your doctor, your team is anyone that gives you therapy, whoever you count for your team. Get the best team possible. Get the best team possible. Caremakers make a difference every day. What I want you to do at this point is, if your care partner is here, reach over to them and take their hand, whisper something to them, say thank you, say how much you appreciate them. Give them a kiss on the cheek, give them a kiss on the lips. Stop there. Don't go any further than that. Keep this PG. This is the way I looked when I first met my wife. I was 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I was bloated, and I was still good looking, but I was a lot of inflammation in the face because I was eating really poorly. I was eating things on a daily basis that I shouldn't be eating. What motivates you? Drive. Everyone's got drive. Whatever it is, and hopefully it's something to do with family members or whatever. Whatever motivates you. When you're in your workout or doing something or doing push-ups or doing planks or whatever you're doing, and you say to yourself, I can't do this anymore. Figure out what motivates you. Tap into your inner strength. You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice. You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. Make a choice. Be strong. Do whatever it takes. My daughter Katie, I talked about challenges. She was born with a birth defect, and she had a 40% chance of living. And she is now teacher, a school psychologist, an internship at the University of Alabama. So she's come a long way from being, I'll just flip through those. It takes courage to let go of the familiar and embrace the new. It takes courage to let go of the familiar and embrace the new. My daughter once said, when she was in ICU for 60 days in life support, I made a tape. The nurses told me to make a tape of my voice and songs that I like. So they played them for her constantly the entire time she was in ICU. When she was 3 years old, she was sitting in the backseat of my car, and Allman Brothers' song, Blue Sky, came on. You're my blue sky, you're my sunny day. Lord, you know you make me high when you turn your love my way. Turn your love my way. And I said, did she ever hear that other than on the tape? It's amazing. She heard the tape. It made a difference. It's important that we make a difference. Jim Valvano is a great speaker, was a great speaker. He said, and I love this phrase, he said, if every day I think, every day I laugh, every day I cry, whether tears of joy or tears of sadness, I've had a heck of a day. If I do that every day for a week, I've had a heck of a week. If I do that every day for a month, I've had a heck of a month. Powerful stuff. If you don't know what you need to do, if you don't know how you're going to find your purpose, if you don't find your relevance, as someone just said to me earlier, how am I relevant? Too often we underestimate the power of a touch. That's what we're missing with COVID, the touch. A smile, that's what we're missing with the mask on. A kind word, a listening ear, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. Pretty powerful. Let me tell you a story. I was in San Antonio, and there was a big line of people that wanted to talk to me. And I'm going to stay around for a while, so anyone that wants to talk to me, I'll talk forever. So this guy was the last one in line. I said to him, do you have Parkinson's? He said, no, my wife does, but she's in a wheelchair, and she couldn't make it today. But she's a big fan of yours on YouTube. I have one fan. That's her. So she said she's watched all my YouTubes, and she wanted to come, but she really wasn't feeling up to it. I said to him, what are you doing now? He said, I'm going home. I said, can you get me to the airport in 3 hours? He said, sure. Let's go. Got in his car. We drove to his home. We met her, and she was a lovely woman. And we talked to her for a while. And I just found out she was a teacher. She was a teacher in a profession. He went in the kitchen, and she said, John, I don't think I can do this anymore. I think I'm going to end my life. And I said to her, what do I do with that? I said to her, who's those pictures of those kids on the wall? She said, those are my grandchildren. I said, have you taught them everything they need to learn? She said, no. I said, you have a reason for living. Wow. I don't know if anyone else here, but I've been on the precipice of that, where I say, it's not worth it. I'm not, but there's things that I need to do. And I'm sure some of you have felt that way when it gets really tough. But I think about the things that matter to me in life, and it brings me out of the precipice. And I think I made a difference that day with her. I'll take any questions and answers. Anyone want to volunteer with a question?
Thank you, John. If anyone has any questions, I'll bring the mic out. So, anyone have a question?
I left you speechless.
No, I see one hand there. Hold on a second. I don't think I need the mic. Yeah, it'll surprise you. I think I speak pretty loud too, but in a room like this.
I'd like to know specifically the best thing about your caregiver, your wife. You speak so highly of her. What is it that a caregiver gives you that seems to give you the most results or break you out of that daily funk? Or does that make sense?
Yes. I hate the fact she's going to hear this. Honesty. She's honest. She tells it like it is. And sometimes I have to say, back off a little bit. I can't take this. Because sometimes it's not my fault that I can't exercise. I'll be sitting on the bike and my legs won't move. I got to stop. So I'll figure out on times to do it. But she's honest, and that's good. That's if she just said you're doing fine, you're 15 pounds more than you should be, but you're doing fine, that wouldn't be honest. So now she's going to do it more often.
Bernadette, stand up so they can see who he's talking about. Any other questions?
Can you talk about some strategies for burning off the tics that are not literally putting a cigarette on somebody? That have worked for you without creating real havoc. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got it. I think that you can't just give hints or whatever. You've got to find a way to not spend time with them, whether it means not being available or not. I've had conversations with some people that I've had to take the direct approach and say, it's not healthy for me to spend time with you. And it's hard for them to hear, but they need to hear it. Because if misery loves company, if they're naysayers, if they're woe is me, Debbie Downers, you can't spend time with them. So you got to make excuses, and then my wife's favorite phrase is take care. She'll say that at the end of the conversation, take care. I want you to take care, but we're not going to spend time together. We made that decision in some circumstances because it was bringing us down. It was awful. So it's tough. Do you have any suggestions?
Stay busy and get yourself more involved in the things that you enjoy doing versus spending time with that person. Or if it's a telephone call, you look at your watch and you know it's going to be a 3-minute, it should be a 20-minute call. It ends up being a 3-minute call because you're busy doing other things. It definitely makes a difference when you're hanging around people that are always in a negative position or always thinking about the worst of everything. It doesn't help. So always try to stay positive and be with people that lift you up rather than bring you down, for sure.
I'm amazed that after 20 years of Parkinson's, you still have a very strong and clear voice. And I would like to know, what have you done to maintain your voice?
Well, my wife's Italian, so she talks a lot. And if I'm going to get a word in edgewise, I've got to scream it out. No, I haven't, I'm always honest with people. I have a microphone. If I didn't have the microphone, you wouldn't be able to hear me. And I don't do big and loud, though I think it's a wonderful program. I don't do those things. I just, when I'm starting, my voice gets softer and lower. My wife tells me that I can't hear you, and I have to scream. But it's not screaming, it's normal talk. So you just got to practice it. Got to scream out and wear a microphone everywhere you go.
And we're going to have a session later today, I think, about speech. And the thing that I keep hearing over and over again is you just have to exercise it. And just keep using that voice and project loud and all those things. But good question. Oh, pardon? Oh, I saw one back here and I was headed that way, but here you go.
Hi. How do you suggest for a newly diagnosed person that you start telling people, like your family, your friends?
That's a great comment. That's a great question. Great question. I didn't do very well. I thought, I've got Parkinson's, I was so cocky, and I'm gonna overcome this. I'm gonna win the challenge. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. And I told my people at work right away. And it probably wasn't the best thing to do. But I knew that they were gonna see the signs of it and such. I think that you need to do the research, figure out what you're talking about before you share it with your family and friends. You need to do the research so you know what you're talking about. That's something I didn't do, and I wish I had done. Because you're going to scare your kids, scare your grandchildren, whatever. It's a scary thing to be said. What people have heard about Parkinson's is pretty horrific, and it is sometimes. That's what's weird about this disease. Some days you're fine, and some days you're not. So I think that I would have taken more time to plan out talking to the people and do a lot of research on what we're looking at. Because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I understand that you live as long as you would have lived, with certain exceptions. So it's not like it cuts your life, it just affects the quality of life. And when you decide that you can influence your experience of Parkinson's, because you can, and those are the things I talked about, you can influence your experience of Parkinson's. You feel better about having a discussion that's more upbeat and not so down. It's a great theme of mine, positive, upbeat, whatever. You can have that discussion.
Yeah, great questions. I can't tell you how many different stories I've heard about how people do just that, share it with their family. And it's a very personal thing, and but a great question. So I think I saw a hand over here.
Say something nice about my talk. Thank you. I was watching you the whole time. You were sending a lot of positive vibes for me.
How did you decide you'd had enough being a lawyer?
Being a lawyer?
You love being a lawyer. I love doing what I'm doing, but it's hard to know when enough's enough and when you should back away.
Fatigue was killing me. I'll tell you a great story. 12 years into my Parkinson's, I actually tried to do a jury trial. And I represented these two guys, and they were accused of stealing some product from an oil tanker that they were driving. And we went, it was supposed to be a 2-day trial, I went 4. And on the third day, the judge said, without the jury, and the jury was out, he said, the plaintiff's going to win this case. I was like, and my clients were like, what do you mean? I said, the judge doesn't decide this, the jury decides this. So the judge, the next day, I went in and did a closing argument. And I met my clients for breakfast, and I hugged the first one. I said, we won. What do you mean we won? I said, we won. I wrote a closing argument. The other guy said, can I hear it? I said, you'll hear it live like everyone else. So we went in, and I cited the great authorities of My Cousin Vinny, Miracle on 34th Street, Jerry Maguire, swear to God, Jerry Maguire, and Pretty Woman. 15 minutes, the jury was out, unanimous verdict my way. We were all excited. They had told their families they were going to be in financial ruin. The judge said we're going to lose. So they got to call their families, which is a great feeling and expression. So I'm thinking, I'm Sam Waterston in Law and Order. I'm Charlie. So I got the video of the closing argument. I was awful. I was all over the place. So that's when I decided that although I then spent 2 weeks in bed. I was so fatigued, because it's 18-hour days when you're in trial. I was so fatigued that I said, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. I was able to do it, but I can do it in short bursts. And I also felt like I didn't want someone claiming that it was malpractice because I had Parkinson's. So there were a lot of considerations. The effect it was having on my body, my inability to multitask, which is important, find words. I just felt like I wasn't given the same product and I have integrity. I decided I wouldn't do it anymore. So I started speaking, and I wrote a book. I wouldn't have written a book if I didn't stop. And I teach elementary school and I taught college.
All right, another great question. I want to share with you all, the gentleman that asked that question is on our medical advisory board, Michael McGibney. Michael is a pharmacist who works for a company called Vizient. And so I wanted everyone to know where you're coming from. You have a career, and that's question that everyone asks. So, and then real quickly also, that question is going to be addressed, or at least talked about some in one of our breakout sessions that deals with career and things like that. So where was that other hand?
I may not need this, but how difficult was it for you to give up driving?
Give up
Or
what?
have you given up driving? Driving.
Oh, it was very difficult. But when I'm driving along and I'm going to make a left turn at a light and I can't make the left turn, I go straight. I say to myself, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't risk other people's lives. I can't risk my life. I can't risk people in the car's life. It's selfish of me to do that. So I take Uber, and my wife drives, and I do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes to not put other people in harm's way. It's a tough decision. It's a tough decision.
It is. One of the things I've heard from some others is that it's sometimes a gradual decision, moving from the highways to the surface roads to maybe the convenience store, and it doesn't have to be all at once.
Right.
And again, a very personal decision. Other questions? He said you can only go so far in your garage. Now, you make me think about when I was 16 and got my license, and my parents wouldn't let me go anywhere, but I could go out to the driveway, and I'd wait till someone was coming, and I'd act like I was backing out. It made me feel real big, you know, and just driving the driveway.
Let me take one more question, then I want to sum up with something that
Okay.
you guys will appreciate.
Okay, my question is, I guess I find myself like when I'm doing something, like if I'm working online, for example, because I work at home. I find myself getting really tired and fatigued, and then when do you know, hey, it's time to take a break versus, oh, I got to keep going, because I get up sometimes at 6, 7 in the morning, and I don't take naps because I have a lot of energy, but then I find myself getting fatigued. I take a nap, or I try not to, but I end up staying really up late at night. But it's the fatigue that I don't know when to tell myself, hey, shut it down and just take a rest. I just keep going and going until I get really tired.
That's a great question, because I do the same thing. I'm intense when I'm doing something, and I stay at the computer until my legs are frozen and I can't get up from the chair. And I overdo it. So you need to know your limits, honest assessment. You need to figure out what's the warning signs that you're going to stiffen up, and get up and walk around. And I find that exercise helps a lot. Making sure you do exercise every day, and then eating right. Because if you eat pork and steak and stuff, which I know you guys love steak, and it's Texas and everything, but it blocks the absorption of levodopa carbidopa. It's tough to digest. It tastes great, but you know that's why I love plants. My wife makes the best salads, and salads is medicine. I'll have salad once a day, and eating and drinking water, drinking enough water. So there's more than just rest. There's eating healthy and drinking water. So does that answer your question? I want to tell you one thing. This is kind of cool. I was on vacation in St. John of the Virgin Islands, January of 2012. And I was with my father, who was stationed there in Korea. I know it sounds crazy. He was stationed in St. Thomas. They didn't attack, so he must have done a good job. So he wanted to see his old Navy base, and my brother had just been divorced, and we went out. So we came to this island, and I met a woman, January 7th. We hung out together most of the week, not every day, but most of the week. Got to know her over the phone. She moved to Louisville, Kentucky in January 31st of 2012. We got married February 26th of 2012. When you know, you know. 46 days. Has anyone gotten married that quickly in here? Pretty impressive. And 10 years later, we're still together, which is good. That's the best part. I'm good. Thank you.
Right. John, thank you so much. It's my understanding that unless some things have changed, you and Bernadette are going to be around today, is that
Yes.
correct? And so I will tell you that a small group of us had a meal with them yesterday. They're very approachable, and so you feel free to come up to John, come up to Bernadette, and they'll be more than happy to answer any other questions that you may have. So John and Bernadette, thank you both. And now we are a little ahead of schedule, but that's not a bad thing. So we're going to take a restroom break now. And again, the restrooms are at the back of this, to your right and to your left within this hall. But then there's a family restroom all the way down to the right. This is also the time that we want you to get back to those exhibit tables. Make sure that you get your passports initialed, and at the appropriate time get those dropped in so that you can possibly win one of those baskets out there that are very, very nice. And then let's try to be back in here just a few minutes before 10:45, where we're going to hear from Valerie Johnson, and the topic is going to be Essential Exercise Guide to Parkinson's Disease. Thank you again for being here. We'll see you at 10:45 right back here.